Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. I am Rob, and here as always, Mr. Carter. How you doing, buddy?
I am good, man.
Hey, we had a revelation.
We
You and I
did?
we were just talking about it.
Oh,
I
gosh.
think you need to share it with the
Okay,
people.
okay,
You didn't
yeah.
expect that, did you?
No. I was telling Robin, and I've had kind of this stance on wild turkey.
People have heard it. That's why I think
Yeah.
we need to pull the veil back.
Yeah. So I've always thought of it as a good, solid pour. But I think my palate has changed a little bit to where I actually really have been enjoying this rare breed that I have on the shelf. I thought the other night, well, let me go back and revisit it and see if it's something that I still have the same opinion about. My opinion has changed.
It struck you a little bit.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked. I was like, why was I not picking up like all of this before? I don't understand. But I guess during your bourbon journey, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, the journey, you need to hit a fork in the road, you go this way, or sometimes your path changes, like with you, and you don't even know it changed.
I mean, maybe we'll change Luis into a Brown Foreman guy one day.
It's like me driving home drunk on a Saturday night. How in the hell did I get home? It's like, how in the hell did you start liking that?
No advocation for that,
We're just kidding.
Yeah.
I never drink and drive.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what Uber's for, I guess. But yeah, we got a little I mean, obviously, I guess you guys see the title of the episode. But what's in the glass right now is a Russell's Reserve pick that
Russell's Reserve made by
Wild Turkey, and it was one of the first selections I actually ever did when I was with picking for Ryan's Liquor. And I think this is probably 2019, maybe.
Was this with Brandt and those guys? You guys
Yeah.
did this pick?
Yeah. Oh, it was 19. Okay, so this was back in 19. So this is one of the first picks that I ever did. We didn't do it at Wild Turkey, but we did get samples in the store.
Does that have both the Nick tag and the new label on the back? They put both on there? Or what is the Nick tag?
Ryan's Liquor.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought when they did the back one, they stopped with the Nick tags.
Maybe this was a weird in between.
Must have been. They were
something
just
or other.
making the conversion, so they got both for whatever reason.
Yeah, but anyway, I remember liking it. It's been a minute since I tried it, so cheers.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
smells
it's
good.
It's Wild Turkey.
I'm a turkey fan.
You always have been a turkey fan. You've not hated it, but you've leaned very strongly towards Dusty's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I still lean strong.
Everybody does, right?
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, if somebody, you'd get really excited if somebody poured you a Dusty. If somebody offered you a rare breed, a year ago, you'd been like, yeah, okay, fine. But now you might be like, oh shit, yeah, that's a good pour.
I haven't actually tried the most recent. I think the most recent is a different proof point on it a little bit.
Which one?
The most recent rare breed.
No, it should still be 116.8. Has been for like.
Okay. Or maybe that's
about 6
rumor
years.
that the new one is going to be a
Supposed
different.
to be right around like 120. That's the rumor.
Oh,
like 118.8, 119.5, somewhere in that range is what somebody who is credible, you know who it is.
Yeah.
Kind of mentioned. So,
DJ.
Yeah.
I'm
so
not
we'll see
talking
if
about
that-
Dustin Johnson.
No, we're not. Okay, so everybody can see by the title, we are talking about, it's getting the fall. It's going to start getting colder.
Is it?
Not here in Houston. We're doing this show for the people.
Yeah.
We're still freaking 90 in the end of October, so it's crazy.
Well, I was watching the Yankees Guardians.
Yeah, stupidest name in sports.
What?
Other than the Commanders.
Anyway,
Sorry.
whether not, I don't care what you think about the whole used to be Cleveland Indians thing. It's just the Guardians is a stupid name.
Well, it is, and I will tell you, I know somebody from Cleveland who let me know that there is I guess it's like a big bridge when you're coming into Cleveland.
Yeah,
It's got these two big angels on each end of it, and they're called the Guardians. They guard you, coming into the city. And so that's kind of where they got the name from.
I think with the crime rate, you probably need that. You need all the help you can get.
I'm trying to play a little bit as devil's advocate here, going, I kind of get it. If you're from there and you know that backstory, you kind of go, okay, I get why you. But from a national kind of, hey, we need to, get out here with all of baseball and, have a name that competes. I'm not sure it works real well.
No.
Same with Commanders.
This commander.
Here come the commanders.
I mean, it sounds like a movie.
Commanders take the field.
It's like one of those like replacements movies. Here are the commanders, XFL teams or something. Anyway, we're talking about cold weather foods. And the reason I brought up the baseball is like I saw people wearing like long sleeves, like at the Yankees Guardians playoffs game. And I'm like, damn, I'm looking forward to that,
Just 2 more months.
Yeah.
Here in Houston.
Just 2 more months. Right around Christmas, we might get a little cold snap.
Might have to put on a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
So we're doing this show for the people.
Yes.
Because, I mean, we might eat a stew or a soup or something. Hey, today we're kind of eating what would qualify as a comfort food.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, we thought it might be fun to going into this time of year, talking about food and dishes that we like that kind of, on a chilly night, on a cold night, what kind of warms you up a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Stuff that you kind of associate the colder weather with, And
you kind of wait for that season to go, man, I can't wait till it gets cold so we can make, and then fill in the blank.
It's like, I'm going to give away one that I think we both have on our
list. I think it's probably the most, everybody would think of it first, I think. Go ahead.
Soups.
Oh, okay. You're going category.
Yeah, category.
Okay.
I would think,
soups and stews.
I'll eat a soup anytime. Yeah. I'm not like one that is kind of like, oh yeah, I can't eat a soup because it's hot outside or anything. Yeah. But it does work better.
Oh, no doubt
it's cold,
about it.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna throw one out as in that category, one that you when people think cold weather food, that's the one I think most people would think of first.
Okay, I was just thinking of the category.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So anyway, I don't think like I necessarily like the stuff that I'm gonna bring up. I'll eat any time, but like it just hits better when it's cold.
Let me tell you one thing that can be eaten any time of year, and I do eat them any time of year. But I do think come the cold weather, I like them more, and that's a hot sandwich.
Same. Same.
I prefer all my sandwiches toasted and warm, but especially fall and winter, a hot sandwich. I might eat it a little more often because I really enjoy it.
I agree, and I actually have a sandwich on my my list. I think you're going to agree with.
Oh, I bet there's several that we're going to have on our list.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure. So like, how do we want to start it out? Like, what do you want to
Well, we mentioned in the soups category. Let's just start firing away.
I'm going to rattle off a few. Okay. A few that I really like. Okay,
I'm making one Sunday, even though it's not that cold. Well, it might be a little
cooler. Getting there.
See if it's on your list that you just kind of rattle off.
Okay, one of my favorite soups of all time, and I just definitely love it during the winter. I'll eat it anytime, but I love it during the winter. Is French onion soup.
Oh, it's a classic, dude. It's not hard to make. It's time consuming. For the onions.
For the onions.
But you're rewarded very well.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
What an awesome soup it is. I mean, if I see it on a menu, I almost always order it.
Same. and I cross my fingers hoping they make it well. Because made well, that just can put you in like a trance. I mean, it just makes you just pleases me very much.
I'll tell you this, friend of the show, Chris Francis, makes an excellent French
does he really?
Onion soup. Yes. So
does he do the Gruyere on
he
top?
He does. Baked on and all that kind of stuff.
I've got the little pots, that are made. You got to have that. Throw that in the oven.
That's awesome. Well, I'll just rattle off a couple of them. Chili. I mean,
when I said I think you're going to throw one out, that I think when people get to cold weather, the first soup, stew, I don't know kind of what category that's in.
Do you categorize chili as a soup? Because I don't.
Soup or stew, one of the two.
I just categorize it as chili.
It stands on its own?
Kind of stands on its own. It's just like.
I mean, I'm not going to question that, but.
I think if you were going to categorize, it's going to be like a soup or a stew, but it's kind of like a hamburger. Do you call it like a hamburger sandwich?
No, but a hamburger is a sandwich.
It is.
But a sandwich isn't a hamburger.
Yes. Well, I mean,
I'm laughing because bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon.
Oh, God.
Everybody says that.
Yeah, you should post that somewhere and see how much hate you get.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I just kind of think of chili standing on its own a little bit.
Yeah. Because if you say nobody says I'm going to make a soup tonight, what kind of soup are you going to make? I'm going to make a chili. If you're making chili, you just say I'm making chili tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly. Exactly.
You don't go, I want to make a soup. Well, what could I make? And then you name 3 or 4 and then go, I think I'll settle on chili. No, chili is That's just the only thing you think of when you want chili.
I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I'm just going to go ahead and say
it.
Say
it.
The
Preach,
chili
brother.
has beans.
Thank you.
Unless it's going on a hot dog, and then I'm okay
That's
with
a condiment.
it. Yeah. Then
it's like ketchup.
It's a topping.
Yeah.
But so chili, any kind of beef stew. I actually make a really good beef stew with Guinness beer and it actually a little red wine to braise the meat. I usually cut up like a tri-tip or something like that and do it like that. And awesome. I mean,
I bet.
Get a little mashed potato with that or whatever you want, starch-wise, fantastic. But another couple that I'm just going to kind of say them. Gumbo, like any kind of tomato basil with the grilled cheese,
That's a classic. I mean, I like a grilled cheese any time of year, but when you get to the cold weather, a grilled cheese with a good tomato basil soup, I mean, there's not a whole lot, and I think of that more as a lunch than I do a dinner. But I absolutely love it. A football Sunday, that's going to be your lunch on a noon kickoff game.
Hell
yeah!
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Another one is kind of like I actually really like matzo ball soup. Like
I've never had that.
To me, it's really good.
Is it?
Get it at a good, get it at Kenny and Ziggy's. That's where you need to get it, and it's good. But kind of in the same vein, I'm thinking of like chicken and dumplings. Now, I don't know if that's a soup or not.
No, it's a soup.
Okay.
It absolutely is a soup, and it's one of my favorites, was on my list. That's a great one.
Yeah.
And there's so many variations of how you can make dumplings. I mean, you can make them fresh. You can use biscuits. I mean, there's and they all work.
Oh yeah, I've done it many different ways.
Absolutely.
But another one I'm going to throw out is kind of a wild card soup.
Okay.
I don't know if you thought about this, but Vietnamese pho.
100%. I've made it. I mean, it's a 3-day process, but it's fantastic in the wintertime.
I love it. And it's kind of weird. Is it like Vietnam is very tropical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had pho for lunch yesterday, so I mean, I'll eat it when it's warm. It just hits the spot a little more when it's cold.
I think it just works so much better. Like if you're like if it's in like the 40s and you had like a nice bowl of pho in front of you.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Let me ask you this: is there a better broth than a good broth in a pho?
No.
I mean, that broth, I can just take the spoon and just get full on broth. I mean, it's so good.
Like when it's done well, and I mean, it's time consuming. It's another one of those
few days that they make.
I don't know that it's very difficult to do. It's just like time consuming.
That's right.
You've got all of the beef trimmings and the bones and all that kind of stuff, and you just go and go and go and go until you create that broth.
Yep.
And something magical about that simplicity.
I mean, some of the best dishes, we've talked about this on the show before, are very simple and, not complex, not a lot of ingredients, but the flavor you pull out of them is just, because sometimes you get too many ingredients and you just start to kind of confuse your palate.
Yeah.
Some simple dishes just hit the spot.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, a chicken noodle soup. I love chicken noodle soup. Homemade, yes. Not the can.
Yeah,
not the can. But
I can't stop drinking that bourbon, dude.
It's damn good.
Yeah.
It's damn good. I forgot how much I like that.
Yeah, it's solid. I've never had this pour.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah,
good.
That's solid. Thank you for sharing.
No problem. But yeah, I mean, like, I think gumbo is another thing I think of.
Yeah.
So in that soup category, butternut squash.
Boom. That's what I'm making tomorrow night.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
My wife's a big Cowboy fan, and I was like, let's do a soup on Sunday. And I said, I'm going to make a butternut squash soup and maybe do some grilled asparagus to put on top.
Anything to make that game better.
Yeah. Or let's go Eagles.
Yeah, go Birds. My
poor wife.
Oh, gosh. Anyway, well, I mean, it's not her fault. She grew up in El Paso. I guess that was the team.
That's Cowboy country way over there. It really is. Dominated by Cowboy fans.
I mean, look, whatever.
Yep.
The only people who follow the Houston Texans are people from Houston. That's it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But anyway, and my wife and I do this one, and I really like it, and we'll eat it anytime, but she wanted me to mention this one because we like it so much. she makes like a roasted cauliflower, and we add like some curry to it type thing. So it's like
a yellow curry.
Yeah, like a yellow curry to it.
That sounds pretty good.
And just do the whole immersion blender thing and all
I've
that
never
kind
heard
of
of
thing.
that.
And we put some. We actually take some chickpeas and we kind of toast them in the oven and kind of put those on top.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's kind of a unique little soup, but we really like it, and you can be really creative with soup, though.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can go broth, you can go kind of the creamy. But while we're on the subject of your wife, there's another soup that you make that's pretty freaking good.
Yes, borscht.
Yeah.
There's no T at the end of it, but for some reason I always want to put a T at the end of it. But we always want to finish off with a consonant in this country. So yeah, that's really good. I mean,
how hard is that to make? Because you've made it a couple times and it's delicious.
It's time.
Just more time again.
Yeah,
most soups I think are that way.
And I think it's just because you have to shred so many vegetables. So you've got beets, you've got cabbage, you've got carrots. It's got onion. It's got all kinds of stuff in it.
Delicious.
Potatoes. Is it?
It's really in Russian food.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it? I know it's weird that you would think that would be in anything over there, but yeah. So I mean, soups can be like a really nice creative outlet, for lots of different things.
And they're fairly simple to make, and most of them are pretty quick. Mm-hmm. Most of them don't take a long time.
No, not really. I mean, a chili. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way to educate our audience.
Okay.
You need to make the chili the day before.
Ooh, let it tighten up in the fridge.
Then go serve it to your guests. And now I'll eat it the same day. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not a snob.
See, now I'm a fan of spice and spicier foods. So for years now, since we lived in El Paso 20 years ago, I've been making a version of chili that I call Mexican chili, where I use a spicy enchilada sauce instead of a tomato sauce. I use chorizo in there with ground beef. I use a lot of cayenne and smoked paprika, and so
nice.
Yeah, I've won a few chili cook-offs with it here in town. So.
Very, very cool.
But it's just a whole different. You think a bowl of chili, and jalapenos on top, and no fresh onions. That would be a sin.
I actually like that, but
most people do. Most people do.
But once kind of stew that I make sometimes, and I really have enjoyed doing it, and it's I kind of call it like a Southwestern barbecue stew.
Okay.
It's like if I ever cook a brisket, which is like I don't do that very often, but sometimes like I'll always have leftovers because a brisket is just, unless you've got 20 people at the house or something, you're not going to kill a brisket.
No.
So I'll take the brisket, cube it up, and I'll take roasted green chilies and make like a green chili brisket type of stew. And it's just, to me, it's like that Southwestern flavor married with the barbecue.
Okay, you've piqued my interest because I make a soup. It's a green chili corn chowder.
That sounds
delicious.
Really
really good. And I'm thinking, throw some brisket on there.
Oh.
That might be really good. I've never put meat in it, but I put meat in it, but never put meat in it.
Yeah.
And but it sounds like that would be really good.
Yeah, so I think we're just kind of singing the praises of soups here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you get to wintertime, that's one that's pretty popular. I mean, chowders really popular.
Lobster bisque, crab bisque, corn and crab bisque.
Here's one that I've became a big fan of. And I don't know that this is a soup or we might be getting off the soup category. Mm-hmm. Although I do have to throw out a couple more. Chicken tortilla soup is a big
awesome one.
House.
It was.
We make it at homemade. It's really easy to make and delicious. Black
I
beans,
love that.
Corn, cilantro.
So good.
Chicken tortillas. Put some fresh cilantro on top with some jalapenos,
making
a
me
little
hungry.
avocado. Good one right there. Yeah,
definitely.
But here where we live, being here for as long as I have, I've become a huge fan. You mentioned gumbo, but when we get to this time of year, we also like etouffee.
Yeah, it's great,
Or a jambalaya.
Jambalaya.
Which those two dishes, it's that rice, but it's just that kind of when you think cold, you want something kind of filling and warm.
Yes.
And the rice kind of dishes and the etouffee dishes kind of do with that roux, and I mean, it hits the spot.
I think all that stuff is kind of like, like a lot of those type of Cajun dishes are very comfort food, and go well with the cold weather.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll eat it anytime, but but kind of hits better. Some of the things I was kind of thinking of, and I mean, we talked about the tomato soup with the grilled cheese. I mean,
and sandwiches in general. Let's talk about a few sandwiches in the wintertime. You have a few that you like? Go ahead. Fire.
French dip.
French dip is huge. That's a good one. A Philly cheesesteak.
Philly cheesesteak. It was also on my list. Another one, kind of a throwback, a meatball sub.
That's a huge one. I've never made a homemade. I'm a fan of the meatball sub. I've never made it homemade, but it has been on my eye recently. Funny that you bring that up.
Yeah.
Because I've been going, I make my own baguettes now or French loaf.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I think I want to make some
meatballs
toasted in the oven, provolone, some fresh oregano on top.
Oh my gosh.
Little olive oil, finish it off.
I mean, dude, come on.
Sounds we may have to do sandwich night.
Yeah. That sounds freaking good.
Meatball's a good one.
Oh yeah. But
how about a Reuben?
Reuben for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Any kind of like pastrami based,
I think that screams kind of fall in colder weather pastrami.
Absolutely.
More than a summer kind of sandwich.
I think paninis too.
Paninis are a great one. That's a good point. Paninis are great.
Like any kind of hot pressed sandwich, it's going to be pretty good. But that's some of the things that I was thinking of. Actually, I was thinking of like I don't know, like it kind of goes with the like. It can go with the main dish too, but like, have you ever had like a pot roast sandwich? Like
but that's the next day.
Yes,
because you make the pot roast, and I'm going to say, for soups and all these things we're talking about, the crock pot can be your friend. You put that in the morning in the crock pot, cook it all day while you're at work, come home, dinner's done, and it's fantastic. And I think about pot roast.
Oh yeah,
because Sandra does that, and we'll get home, 4:35, dice up some potatoes, throw them in there for an hour, carrots. Yeah, that roast comes out with that au jus sauce, and you have carrots and potatoes. I mean, that's freaking delicious.
I'll tell you another. You mentioned carrots, and this I'll kind of just go on like a brief little something with sides. To me, like roasted carrots, that screams fall.
Oh yes, I would agree.
And butternut squash, like I do like a butternut squash hash, where like I cube up butternut squash and then put some like thick cut bacon in it and a little rosemary in it and kind of do like a skillet potato type of thing.
Is that a breakfast thing?
Can be breakfast, or
I'm thinking a little egg on that might not be bad.
Can be breakfast. Can be just as a nice. I've done it with steaks before. You have a steak and you have the butternut squash hash. Kind of a different take on roasted potatoes.
Yeah.
So that's something that's really good.
Another, we have any other sandwiches that you want to talk about that you throw out?
I mean, basically just hot stuff, like.
Yeah, and it's more sandwiches. I don't put burger doesn't scream fall to me. Burger's year round.
I'd eat a burger anytime.
Yeah, but there's certain sandwiches that are scream kind of fall.
I will say this, a chili dog, like for a hot dog, I associate more with cold weather.
I would agree. I don't necessarily want a lot of chili on my hot dogs in the middle of summer.
July,
but you get to the wintertime, chili is a big hit.
Yeah. So that's something that
that's a good point.
Another thing that's kind of a little bit of an oddball, but for some reason I associate it with, and it maybe just have to do with the football season or whatever.
Yeah,
nachos.
Okay, that can be a meal.
Yeah,
you can make that a meal. That's a good point.
Like if you get some of that chili and make some chili cheese nachos or something like that.
Well, I'm thinking a lot of different things for the protein, because you talk about brisket. You have leftover brisket. You chop that up and put on top.
Yeah.
You could do chili. You could do, any kind of chicken would be fine on there. Pork would be good on there if you get a pulled pork or something. Nachos is one of those, just build it the way you want when you have that layer of tortillas.
Yeah.
The palate is wide open.
Yeah. But anyway, just with side note, it's not something that not a lot of people probably associate with fall. But for some reason, I just think football, nachos.
Yeah. I mean, football foods scream fall too.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you make during football season that are. I probably eat more wings and things like that during football season than I do rest of the year.
Same.
Okay, here's a category that I think is more fall driven for me than in the spring or summer. Big red sauce pastas.
Absolutely.
Something with like a braised short rib in there all day with a nice pasta sauce, and then you put that over on, pick your pasta, doesn't matter. Can be linguine, can be spaghetti, can be a panini or whatever, or a penny, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And can't go wrong.
Yes, I agree completely. Kind of on that vein, but different culture. Beef stroganoff.
Yeah, kind of in that same kind of pasta and meat and sauce. That's a great one. That screams fall.
Yeah. And that's when my wife was like, make sure you mention stroganoff because, it's kind of a Russian.
Yeah. Oh, is it Russian?
It's a. Yeah, I agree. And then on the Italian side, I know we mentioned, you and I talked offline talking about lasagna. I mean, to me, that one's any kind of baked pasta dish.
Oh, lasagna's great. Yeah.
Like baked ziti.
Baked ziti, stuffed shells.
Stuffed shells, yes.
Those scream fall and winter. Those are just kind of comforting, warm you up, kind of fill you up on a cold day kind of food.
I got one for you in the Italian vein, and I want to see if you agree.
Okay.
Chicken Parmesan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, with a nice little pasta on the side with a little bit of sauce on it. Absolutely. Love a good chicken Parmesan.
And for some reason,
good sauce, good mozzarella, sprinkle that nice aged Parmesan on top. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a wonderful dish.
So when I think of fall Italian meals, I think chicken Parmesan a lot of times.
I will also say that I think when I get to fall, keeping on the Italy kind of theme, when I get to fall, I crave more polenta and risotto.
I agree.
I think are kind of warmer and richer and a little heavier.
I actually like gnocchi better in the fall.
Gnocchi is a great one.
Ravioli is another one that I think of more associated with fall, though I'd eat ravioli anytime because it's delicious. But that's something that I think kind of hits well.
I feel like summertime you try to eat a little lighter. You're hot. You don't want to be bogged down. Wintertime is when you get into these more richer kind of because I think polenta, making a nice, big pork chop on a bowl of polenta, or not a bowl, but a plate of polenta with a nice, whatever kind of glaze or sauce you want to put on it is delicious.
I had this really interesting dish, kind of go a little bit off the side there. Okay, so with polenta, so if you let it get cool, or if you cool it off in the fridge, it turns solid, right?
Sure.
So I had this dish. I can't remember the restaurant in New Orleans that I ate it at, but I used to go there all the time, and great food. But they did a version of shrimp and grits where they actually took a polenta cake and fried it, and then put the shrimp and grits type stuff over the top of that polenta cake. So they fried a polenta cake and then put more just regular grits on top, regular polenta? No, they just put the shrimp and
the
sauce and all that on the top of it. It was fantastic. That crisp of that fried polenta.
I love having leftover polenta, and you put it on a cookie sheet, kind of get it out even, let it sit in the fridge, and you can cut that in squares and fry that. You can do all kinds of things with that.
Super awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, and to your point, I'll eat ravioli anytime, just like I'd eat ceviche anytime. But, I would think of more eating ceviche in the summertime. And
so do I. That crisper, cleaner, Yeah. They're just certain foods that hit in certain times of the year.
Yeah.
And ingredients matter, too. Certain ingredients that you use in the summer, and you want to take advantage of when you have, spring and summer tomatoes and all your veggies and stuff, so you might go more that way. But when you get to fall, now we're getting a little, richer and fuller and
so short rib over risotto,
one of my favorites.
I mean, I'll eat it anytime, but damn, it's good in the wintertime. Another one, I don't know about this, if you thought about this, meatloaf.
I'm not a big meatloaf guy.
Okay,
so it's not on
you
my
haven't
list.
had the right one.
Okay, I mean, I'm open.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you one sometime, and I'm gonna change your mind.
Does it have jalapenos inside?
It can.
Okay.
I think the problem is most people make it too tight. It needs to be.
I like it tight.
Meatloaf is different.
I'm talking about the meatloaf. What are you talking about?
I don't know. My mind went somewhere.
Yeah, I guess it did.
No, but if you have it like to where you've got a good grind, and you have it like to where it's not like super firm, you want it to be kind of fork tender, that kind of thing. Anyway, that mashed potatoes and
here's my problem most of the time with meatloafs. The onions are too raw for me. A lot of people put a lot of onion in it.
Oh, well, I cook
too raw.
I caramelize the onions before
then
I put it.
I might be a fan.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a try. Well, I have to caramelize the onions because my wife doesn't eat raw onions either.
And I love that lady.
So, but a couple other things I was thinking of: chicken pot pie and shepherd's pie.
Oh, I was going to mention shepherd's pie. I did not have chicken pot pie. Any pot pie would be great.
Oh, yeah.
You can make a seafood pot pie that can be really
Hell
good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great call. I forgot about the pot pie.
And
you can make a nice crust. Oh, you hit a spot there, dude. That's a good one.
So if you do like a chicken pot pie, now I've done it in a couple of different ways. I've done a chicken pot pie in the freaking crock pot before with like biscuits on top.
Oh yeah, I've seen people do that,
and it's not bad.
Yeah,
you can make your own crust, and honestly, I'll tell you this: making pie crust is not that difficult.
It's really not. I mean, anything you make with flour, most people are a little bit intimidated by, but it's not that tough.
I'm just saying, like, bread can be a little bit more intimidating. I get that, you know.
See, that was kind of what I was leaning to. It's not that hard, I don't think. But go ahead.
I don't think it is, but, like, when you start messing with yeast and getting timing right and all that kind of stuff, it's more of a chemistry type of thing.
It's more of a science project. And I saw a person, I know I'm a little off here, but saw a guy say that the other day. You can be a cook and just, bam, splash of this much of this. Didn't really matter. But when you're baking... Now it's very, specific and scientific.
You have to follow
measurements are so important.
Yeah, exactly.
Good point.
I don't mind doing the baking thing. I actually kind of enjoy it, but I would definitely say I lean more toward the cook, where I'm just doing my thing. But
I want to mention, I know I'm kind of going back to soups here, but I forgot to mention something that I feel like I should have mentioned while we were talking about it. I did this last week, and I think you saw I posted on it. The vessel for a soup.
Oh, yeah.
Can be, we're talking about baking, which made me remember this, a bread bowl is absolutely, for certain kinds of soup, not a broth soup. You're not going to put a brothy soup into a bread bowl.
No.
But when you get into your creamier chowders and your bisques and things like that, a bread bowl, I mean, it's not that hard to make.
Yeah.
You got to follow the directions and the measurements. Get a kitchen scale if you don't have one, because that helps a ton.
Critical.
But a bread bowl, my wife, first time I'd made them homemade, we've had them at places going out, but I made them homemade, and the wife and kids were like, okay, this is freaking awesome. Because you just get some soup, you reach in on the inside of that bread bowl, get a little piece of bread with it. I mean, it's just heaven.
Yeah, so one of the, I've done, this restaurant in Houston, actually it's a live music venue, but they do something beef Guinness stew.
Oh.
And they put it into a bread bowl.
Yeah.
And I think that is really good because, that just kind of goes well.
And the key to the bread bowl is, when you cut that kind of top out, that you pick out, pieces on the inside, and you don't throw that away. That goes on the plate around the bread bowl so that when you fill it with soup, that gets tossed back in as you take a bite. I mean, just divine. I mean, that sounds like common sense, but somebody might go, oh, once I pull it out, I just throw that bread away. No. None of the bread gets thrown away.
Yeah.
It's all,
you can make croutons out of it as well.
Do that as well, but I would put it in my soup and eat it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just throwing out options here.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Another one I was thinking of is corned beef and cabbage.
That's a good one. That's a very good one.
So, I think of like cold weather. But yeah, like the corned beef and cabbage thing, I kind of think of it as that kind of time of the year. Soda bread, things like that. It's like I kind of associate that with colder weather.
Yep, I definitely think that's a good one. I'm trying to think. There's something else that I feel like I'm missing. That when we talk about like chicken and dumplings and things like that, there's something else that I just can't think of it. But what do you have? What else do you have?
Okay, so I'm going to go for an Italian thing that's more of a specialty, and I would love to make it sometime. porchetta, I think is how you say it, but it's like a holiday type thing where they take it's like a, oh gosh, pork belly type deal, and they do like a roulade on it.
Oh, really?
And they roast it, and the outside gets this crispy skin to it.
Never heard of that.
Oh,
That's got to be up north in Italy, like Piedmont or somewhere.
it's a big thing for the holidays. So check that out sometime.
Okay.
So yeah, they did it over at Fiore. Like I don't know, I think it was for Chef Alessio's birthday or whatever, and so they made one, and I was like, oh my god, this is delicious. So that's one that I think a lot of Italians would associate with colder weather and the holidays and stuff. I was thinking like rib roast and beef Wellington.
Yeah, I think beef Wellington. I think Christmas. That's kind of a holiday dish.
Yeah,
but I mean, definitely would meet the criteria because I'm going. To me, it's carbs, whether it's bread or pasta or rice or something like that, with whatever in it and some kind of sauce, something that's marrying this all together.
Yeah,
and that screams comfort to me. That screams kind of fall and those kind of foods.
And one kind of more on, I would say, like an oddball, but I think of it is curries. Like
that's a great call.
Indian curries, Thai curries, even Japanese curry, anything like that. It's going to be, I kind of associate with the fall.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great call. I actually forgot about those. And Sandra and I ordered dinner the other night, and I had a yellow curry with chicken that, phenomenal.
Oh, a little heat, with a little carb to deliver it.
Carb, have maybe a Riesling with it or something like
that.
Oh,
hell yeah,
delicious.
Man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm going to throw one weird one. So the oddball that I was gonna mention was for the colder months, oysters.
Oh, many different ways.
And the reason I mention it is because the season for oysters is all of the months that have R in it. So the freshness factor. Now, I'm sure you can probably get oysters year-round that are farmed, that are good and all that kind of stuff. But growing up in kind of the area, you think oysters in those colder months. Like January, I would eat raw oysters all the time because that's kind of the best month for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You make me, when you say oysters, you make me think of another soup that I love a lot.
Okay.
Love to eat it. I've never made it, and I was telling Sandra about a week ago that I do want to make it. It's the San Francisco soup. It's that broth-based seafood soup.
Oh, yeah.
Called, what is it? Cioppini?
Cioppini, yes.
Yes. One of my fall favorites with a good piece of bread, eating through and having that. Delicious.
Oh, well, so, I mean, on the oyster thing, if you think about, like, grilled oysters, like, where they put Parmesan cheese and butter and things like that on top of them, then you take that French bread and kill the sauce.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just awesome.
Let me throw you another category that, from the Midwest, where I grew up, is a very popular category in the fall and winter.
Okay.
Casseroles.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, again, we're getting into that baked kind of, just very filling kind of, warm foods that casseroles were.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's a blank canvas. You can do whatever you want with a casserole. I mean, you can get very creative.
Absolutely. I mean, I was even thinking, maybe I'm wrong, enchiladas.
Oh, I think enchiladas absolutely had. When you start talking, the Hispanic cuisines, there's some really good. We're making one today.
Yeah, there you go.
The chili Colorado that we're making, which is the stew over this, chili sauce that's going to be over rice. And yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But you're right. Enchiladas, to me, that's the Mexican lasagna.
Oh,
I mean, isn't it really?
Yeah, for sure.
You can put chicken in it. You can just do cheese. Just like a lasagna, you can do meat. You can just do cheese. So many, cultures have these dishes that kind of cross over. I always find that fascinating.
I'm going to mention one that's a little bit on the, maybe you don't think of it, and maybe I'm the only one that thinks of it. I'll eat it anytime, but biscuits and gravy.
Well, okay, you get to breakfast, absolutely. I mean, I'll go shit on a shingle, chipped beef and toast, too.
Yeah.
In that kind of category, which is really good. Yeah, there's some very savory. We did our breakfast episode, our top 5, and if you hadn't heard that, go back and check it out. But yeah, there's some breakfast ones that I was like, okay, I'm going to hold out because summertime I don't eat pancakes and waffles. But, come wintertime, there's a cold morning. Sometimes a pancake just kind of hits the spot.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And that's a filler.
Yeah, no doubt. A couple other things I want to kind of like just briefly mention, that are in some different categories.
Yeah.
When I think of desserts.
You're reading my mind. I wanted to finish in that, though.
Okay.
So we'll finish with a couple of desserts because you probably have a few.
Yep.
I do as well.
I do. So that was something, well, we can get into that. Some other things that, kind of I think of fall, drink-wise, hot chocolate, apple cider, mulled wine, eggnog. I mean, that's holiday, but Are you
an eggnog? Are you still an eggnog fan?
Yes.
Okay. See, I used to drink the shit out of that when I was a kid. And now it's so thick and rich and.
Well, you got to make your own. You got to try making your own.
Never done that.
So the stuff out of the carton is going to be it's way too thick for me.
Okay.
They also have a Puerto Rican version of it called I think it's called coquito or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, you should try that. It uses kind of like a coconut base instead of like a cream base.
Okay.
So it's like a coconut cream and things like that.
I do want to throw out a dish that I think fall and it's the only time I really crave this dish, and it's really a kind of it's an indulgence.
Okay.
It's a football food. However you want to categorize it. You don't eat it very often. You don't eat it a lot. Comes from our neighbors up north.
Oh, okay.
Poutine,
yeah, definitely.
French fries, gravy, cheese curds, and some meat on top. I mean, on a Saturday night watching football, chugging some maybe not chugging, sipping some bourbon,
shotgunning some
beers,
some beers,
some poutine.
Yeah, oh man,
I don't ever want it. I don't want gravy on my fries in the summer, but you get to the wintertime.
Oh yeah,
it is something that I always go once or twice during the winter. I like to have a good poutine.
Yeah,
make it at home.
Oh, I mean,
because you can't find it here in Houston. Well, maybe you can, but
if you can't, I wouldn't be surprised that you could find it.
You probably can, but I don't know where.
Me either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think of stuff like that. I know we mentioned the curries. I think of that stuff. I think we've covered most of it.
I do too. When you think about fall kind of foods,
bangers and mash is another one that I really like.
I think that's a really good one. I mean, kind of goes. With in that category of shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
A little bit.
British pub food,
British pub food.
That kind of thing.
Do fried foods kind of scream more fall than
one thing I was kind of thinking of for fried food, I was kind of thinking of like fair foods.
That'll be a different episode.
Yeah, but deep fried everything, it's kind of cooler months.
I've never tried those things. Yeah, because the fairs are always in the fall, so that makes sense. Yeah.
But
I've never tried any of those, like fried Oreos and fried ice cream and fried. Have you had these things?
Yeah, well, yeah. They're good.
I've never had them.
Oh, the fried Oreos
sound pretty good.
The fried Oreos are pretty good.
I've heard people say that. I've never had them.
But I think of that. That's kind of the stuff that just kind of comes to mind.
Yeah.
But a lot of good options.
Well, you brought it up, and I wanted to go there as well, but I thought it'd be good, like finishing a good meal.
Yeah.
You finish with dessert.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw two out that are my favorites because I want to get them out there.
Okay.
A bread pudding.
That was on my list.
Got to have a good bread pudding.
Yep.
I'm going to give you three.
Okay.
I like a Bananas Foster.
Do you think of it as a fall dish?
I only make it in the fall. It's not really heavy and rich and everything. It's got all that. But it's the time of year for whatever reason when it's cold outside. I guess it's because it's hot. When you get that sauce all over it and the warmth of it.
Yeah.
And then there's other dishes that I think are more summer. But I think pies are summer. Cobblers are winter.
Yep. You read my mind. I mean, the same way. By the way, Bananas Foster, my favorite dessert.
Is it really?
Time. Yeah.
And then the last one I'll throw out there, getting back to the Hispanic culture, my wife and I make what we think is a really good tres leches cake.
Is that wintertime?
Well, it's just so thick and rich, and it's a cold served cake. But that with you were talking about a cup of hot chocolate or something like that, hits the spot. Because it's rich and heavy, and
I could see that,
because Arroz con leche is another kind of winter dish, a rice drink that they make, that's very much in the wintertime that my kids and my wife always want. Arroz con leche.
That's interesting you say, like an horchata. That would be something that I could think of, and kind of the spices and things like that. I think I'll say, like, you stole several of mine.
You were firing away with all those. I was like, I got to have a category where I can fire.
I'm totally in agreement with you on cobblers. I think that is
favorite cobbler.
Blueberry.
Okay, I was going to go blackberry.
I like peach.
Now, there's not a cobbler I probably don't like. I don't know if there is. I haven't met it yet.
Yeah, me either.
Cobblers are great. And I'm sorry, wintertime or not, cobbler, you got to have a scoop of vanilla.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You can't...
warmth of the pie, the cobbler, just kind of gets that to melt, and it just kind of layers over each bite as you spoon it out. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing.
Okay, so here's a couple. I don't know why I think of this as a wintertime thing, but either a German chocolate cake or a Black Forest cake.
Yep.
I just think that those, like, whatever those flavors are, they kind of hit.
Can I tell you, there's a cake that I make, and you just made me think of it in the wintertime, only in the winter. It's called the hot apple cake. So it's got those, cinnamon, nutmeg spices. You dice up the apple, you put it into the cake, you bake this cake. When it comes out, you toast some pecans, and then you make the caramel sauce with the pecans, and you ladle that with the toasted pecans with the caramel sauce all over this piece of cake, and you eat it. I only make it in the winter, but you can see why it might be a winter. Spices
with the spices,
caramel, and you just made me think of it. It's a fantastic cake.
I mean, honestly, apple pie, I think of winter.
I think of 4th of July.
Do you?
When I think of wintertime pies, I go to pumpkin, and I go to bourbon pecan.
Well, pecan is on my list.
Pecan
is on my list. But I mean, I think of apple because of the spices. You've got the cinnamon and the nutmeg and that kind of stuff.
I guess because of 4th of July, apple pie and baseball, and it's just always
of like
been
Thanksgiving,
in
though.
Thanksgiving, man, I'm pumpkin and pecan all day. I don't even want people bring apple, and I'm like, get that shit out of here. Give me pumpkin and give me a slice of
Man, I like an apple pie.
Yeah, no, not a fan.
But apples grow in the wintertime, too.
Oh, that's fine. It just doesn't scream for me. It's like going, when I say key lime pie, you're going to say?
Summertime.
Yeah, that and apple.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. I can see apple because you're right. With the baking spices, the cinnamon and things like that, depending on how much you put in there, could scream a little fall.
Oh, man. Did you guys ever do this? Like, baked apples, like basically like taking apples and just like reducing them down in a pot and all that. Oh man,
absolutely.
That is.
I mean, that's how you make an apple pie too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But anyway, it's just real good.
Good stuff. I'm a fan of that. It just doesn't. I guess the other thing's trumpet. When I think pies in fall, I'm a huge pumpkin pie fan, and I never eat it until Thanksgiving is the first time I'll have it, and then I might have it a couple times through Christmas, and that's it.
I like pumpkin pie. I wouldn't put it as one of my favorites. Now, my grandparents, being from the South, we don't really grow pumpkins in the South.
Pumpkin pie is not really made with pumpkins.
Yeah, well,
found that out recently.
Yeah, so we used to make like sweet potato pie, and I don't know, it was slightly different, thing going on, but. Anyway, and I think you're just spot on with the bread pudding. I mean,
that's my favorite.
I don't know of anything that epitomizes a cold weather type dessert more than that.
Yeah, and we talked about hot chocolates and things like that, but there's some alcoholic beverages that can be served warm that also can hit the spot with a dessert like that.
Yes.
So I'm not a cider fan, but I know ciders can be warm and spiked. But there's some coffees that you can do and different things that you can
hot toddy, I think
is a good one.
I'll mention kind of an honorable mention one here for the dessert. So, a warm brownie with a little ice cream on top. I mean, I'll eat that all year long, but like a warm brownie with the cold weather, I could see that kind of working.
And I'm with you there, 100%, because I think to me, the difference is in the summertime, a cake is fine. It's a lighter, fluffier cake.
Yeah.
But that denser cake is fall.
Yeah.
It's just so dense and kind of heavy in each bite.
Right.
to me, that's more of a fall kind of thing. I'm with you, 100%.
Yeah. So something like that. But anyway, I think we've done our best.
Somebody's going to go, you guys knuckleheads, you forgot this one. We probably left off something.
I'm sure we did.
I'm trying to think regionally if there's anything East Coast, West Coast that we're not thinking of right off the bat. I think when you talk about chowders and things like that up north in the Northeast,
they're into that.
And we mentioned the soup out in San Francisco, but chili's kind of the big one all over the Midwest and South, and that's kind of that winter. But a lot of fun talking about that, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
now I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. I smell what you're cooking back there.
It smells pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.
Cheers, everybody.